Right, what is up, YouTube? It's your old friend FXDLS Brooklyn, that motovlogger from New York City, who's actually not on an FXDLS right now, not on a Lowrider ST, but on a 1988 FXR, one of my favorite bikes to ride, brother, because nothing cuts through the New York City chaos like an FXR, brother. You know what I mean, brother? But yeah, this video, it's kind of been a while since I've like done a video that kind of just goes back to my roots of what I do as a YouTuber, which, you know, my channel started in 2016 as a motovlogger, which is recording my rides in and around New York City, specifically on a Dyna. My channel has evolved a lot over the last, what has it been now, 8 years, from doing product reviews and doing rider profiles and doing bike trip series, and now doing fancy voiceover videos. You know, I think I've come a long way in terms of diversity of content that I put out there on my channel. However, it is always nice to come back to how I got my start, I was talking to a friend of mine who you've seen in my videos before. That's Ducati NYC out here from New York City, and he's like, I'd say most of his content is actual motovlogging, where I actually really like the styles of his videos, where what he does is he'll just like turn the camera on and then he'll run a battery down and just like take us along for the ride with him, which is kind of different to my style when I do motovlog. Like, I cut up my videos, especially because I don't like having just audio of me breathing at a stoplight or whatever. But he's got his audio dialed into the absolute optimal, where you could hear all the sounds and intricacies of his Ducati, and you could hear his voice very clearly, but you don't get a lot of wind and you don't get a lot of breathing. So his audio in terms of motovlogging is like A+, man. So I actually hit him up because, like, him and I do, you know, chat here and there on yay old Instagram and YouTube. I really like his polls that he puts up. Yeah, that's right, I'm breaking the stereotype as a typical Harley rider. I do ride and associate with people who don't ride Harley Davidsons. But yeah, he's one of them. He's one of them. But anyway, his audio is just supreme. And I remember about a week ago, you know, I was in the position where I knew I was gonna have to be upgrading my camera. I don't know if y'all noticed, but this is actually a GoPro 12. I finally upgraded my camera from a GoPro 8, which is typically what I was using. So you should be getting way more crisp and smooth quality here if whatever GoPro is preaching is actually true. But I figured I was going to be upgrading my camera, so I might as well take the time to also see if I can make some adjustments to my audio. So I asked him, you know, some of like his mic placement and mics that he was using, and honestly I didn't know if he was gonna be cool with giving me any of that information as another motovlogger doing something I'd say pretty different than what he's doing, just in terms of the content itself. But also, you know, I am doing motorcycle content in New York City, so I could also understand if he would be like, I don't want to let go of my secrets. I would not have blamed him if that was the stance that he had taken. But honestly, he gave me a very, very detailed response of what he's been doing in terms of audio, and I really appreciate it. So I tested some of what he's doing. I actually did grabbed the mic that he had recommended. It hasn't come yet, but I tested one of the things that he said, which was playing around with mic placement to try to cut down some of the wind, because with a lot of my videos, the thing that makes me crazy when I go back and edit is when, especially I'm doing highway speeds and the wind is just like absolutely brutal. And I mean, there's a part of me where it's like, well, you know, that's kind of what it sounds like when you actually ride a motorcycle. Like, you are gonna hear and feel wind, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't think anyone wants to watch 10 minutes of just the wind screaming through the audio. So that's one of the things I've been trying to get dialed in with my audio. So he gave me a recommendation of playing around with a different placement for the mic, which I've been doing for my last couple videos, and I think it sounds like an improvement. So I'm going to keep playing with that and seeing if I could continue to get that to be a little bit better. But anyway, the reason why I'm even bringing this up is like, it's one of the things that I appreciate about the motovlogging community, especially out here in New York City. Like, we actually, back in 2016, when I actually started doing it, had a really big, we had a much bigger motovlogging community with all different types of bikes, all different types of personalities. And for whatever reason, over the past close to a decade now, a lot of those motovloggers have stopped motovlogging completely, or stopped doing it to the regularity that they were doing it. But anyway, a lot of these motovloggers early on were the ones who helped me get started, and, you know, gave me a lot of really good tips and were super supportive for me as a new channel at the time with like whatever it was. And it's just cool that, you know, almost 10 years later, where I'm sitting at over 15,000 subscribers, I still consider myself a pretty small channel, but definitely a little bit more established. It's cool that even still, like, I could hit up a local motovlogger and there's really no gatekeeping that's happening. It's not like, oh, I gotta safeguard this precious information. It's more of the attitude that, hey dude, I want you to be doing better, I want to help you. And that's always been my attitude as a motovlogger, which is, the more people that are doing this, the more people that are riding motorcycles, the more people that are motovlogging, is a good thing for the motorcycle community as a whole. You know what I mean? Like, this is a great way to just promote riding, especially to someone who's just trying to get into it. But anyway, like, regardless of just promoting, you know, riding motorcycles and celebrating motorcycles, it's also just a good thing, because then you get a lot of learning that comes from a lot of people getting into motovlogging, where you have a channel such as the one that Dan the Fireman typically uses. I'm gonna butcher the name. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name, but I think it's called Moto Stars is the one. I'll link it. But anyway, it's basically a series of videos where you are experiencing either wrecks on a motorcycle or really close calls. And I'm a huge proponent of watching these videos for the sake of learning, you know? And it's like just a good reminder, especially as someone like me who has gotten into a nearly fatal motorcycle wreck. Number one, it's a good reminder of just how insanely dangerous this thing is, how unforgiving this thing could be in the blink of an eye, and also just a good way to keep you on your A game and simulate these different hypothetical situations, and like to just remind you, like, oh yeah, people are gonna run red lights, people are gonna rear end me, people are gonna do this and that. So the content that type of content wouldn't be coming out if people weren't throwing GoPros on their helmets and their motorcycles. So that's just like another good reason for, I think, people to motovlog. And for me, like, recording some of these rides, there's just been so many times where, you know, maybe I anticipated something incorrectly, or maybe there was a close call or something, and then it's always really helpful for me when I go back and reflect on the situation so that I could get better, to have the footage of what actually happened. And then obviously, if you do get into a wreck, it's always better for you and to protect yourself to have that situation recorded, especially if it's somebody else's fault. So motovlogging, man, I don't do it all the time anymore, but when I do, I always enjoy myself. Motorcycles are awesome. Motovlogging is awesome. It's all good. You go. I'm in no rush. I do not ride. I may sometimes ride fast, but I am never in a rush. So it's one easy way to get yourself killed is ride in a rush somewhere. Ride being late somewhere. You know, if you find yourself late for an appointment or late for a hot date or something, hang up those keys and take the train, man. It just ain't worth it. You do not want to be riding in that type of mental state of rushing. And I'm gonna do a little illegal thing here, but who's looking? So I can pull up in front of Yay Old Shop, Indian Larry Motorcycles. I got some business to attend here. Getting some new parts, shaking some hands, checking out some bikes. Alright, but we're going to close out the video here at Yay Old Indian Larry Cycles. I hope y'all enjoyed that little moto vlog we just did. Stay safe and stay low. I'll pick up the next video from here. Who knows what we're going to talk about. And on that, FXDLS Brooklyn is out.